I'm a competition maximalist. Like anything that works, great, use it. Like I love Ethereum. I love Monero. I love Zcoin. I love Zcash.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm Ian Balina, and today we have a legend in the house. We have Bitcoin Jesus himself, the founder of Bitcoin Cash, Roger Ver.
So thank you, Ian, but I have to give a timeout right there. A lot of people in the media say I'm the founder of Bitcoin Cash. I had absolutely nothing to do with the creation of Bitcoin Cash. I had nothing to do with the creation of Bitcoin Cash, just like I had nothing to do with the creation of Bitcoin. But I'm a fan. I was a fan of Bitcoin because it used to work as peer-to-peer electronic cash. I'm a fan of Bitcoin Cash today because it works as peer-to-peer electronic cash. So that's a thing I see in the media a lot, that I'm the founder or the creator of Bitcoin Cash. Had absolutely nothing to do with the creation of it. No problem. People say it and then it just gets repeated and it goes, on and on, over and over and over. So I try to put a stop to it anytime I hear that thing. So special thanks to the people that did create BTC and BCH both.
Well, it's a pleasure having you on. You are definitely quite well known in the space. I mean, you've been around since almost the beginning. So just being able to even speak to you and have a live stream AMA with our community is awesome. So how are things with you? I hope everything is well.
I'm not sick, so that's a good thing. And I hope the same is true for you as well and all the watchers.
Okay, all right. So fast forward now. What's the story behind Bitcoin Cash? How did you get involved?
So I got involved in the exact same way that I got involved in Bitcoin. I saw a tool that could be used to bring more economic freedom to the world and strip away power from governments and governments to control the corporations and control the banks and control everything else, because people can send money to and from each other anywhere in the world. And in fact, one of the fun examples here I have in my wallet, I made these Bitcoin Cash gifts. And the first person that scans that private key there with the Bitcoin.com wallet or any wallet that can scan a private key, there's 10 British pounds worth of Bitcoin Cash on there. And so this is an example of things that can no longer be done on Bitcoin because the fees became too high on Bitcoin. As soon as Bitcoin stopped working as cash and as a payment system, and the narrative became like, oh, it's just supposed to be a store of value, you're not going to use it to pay people or buy or sell or do anything, like that wasn't the Bitcoin that I got involved with. That wasn't the Bitcoin described in the white paper. That wasn't the Bitcoin that made the Silk Road one of the most successful startups ever in the entire history of the world. That wasn't the tool that can strip away the power from governments to control people. So I would be embarrassed to promote BTC today, right? With its slow, expensive, unreliable transactions. Like, how could I with a straight face tell anybody ever, hey, you should start using this thing, it's called Bitcoin. Sometimes it'll cost you 10 cents, sometimes it'll cost you $1, sometimes it'll cost you $50 or even maybe $1,000 to send a transaction to somebody. And you're not even sure if your transaction is going to go through. And then they might be able to reverse it later. Like, I'd get laughed out of any business meeting anywhere if I tried to present that to people. Yet the original Bitcoin that had fast, cheap, reliable, irreversible transactions that became popular and started getting used by companies like Microsoft and Dell and Expedia and people all over the world, the thing that's called Bitcoin today still has that good reputation and name and branding, and so it's riding on its own coattails that were built up by people like me. But the technology that made Bitcoin popular to begin with is now alive and well in the form of Bitcoin Cash and a bunch of other cryptocurrencies as well. So it's really strange that people have this infatuation with Bitcoin is the brand, but the technology that works is now Bitcoin Cash or Dash or Zcash or a bunch of these other ones out there. So the BTC version of Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency ever in the history of all, thousands and thousands of cryptocurrencies. It's the only one ever to have intentionally full blocks. What a stupid thing to do, right? Full blocks makes the fees unreliable and high, and it makes the transactions unreliable, and it makes the entire network unreliable. And so it's been an absolute disaster for Bitcoin to have the blocks intentionally become full. And I think a lot of people that are new to Bitcoin or new to cryptocurrency, they don't realize that that's the stated goal of the software developers behind Bitcoins. They want the blocks to be full and they want the fees to be high. And it was when I realized that was their goal was for the blocks to be full, which creates unreliable transactions and creates the fees to be high. When I realized that's when I really started to pull my hair out. I thought this is an absolute disaster for the adoption of Bitcoin. The blocks need to always have room. The market needs to set the amount of block space that's being produced, right? The miners can decide what price they want to charge for inclusion in their blocks, and instead of a bunch of central planning, economically ignorant software developers that literally say, oh, the fees are $50 a transaction on average. Pop the champagne. This is a huge success. No, it drove it drove me away from Bitcoin. It drove Microsoft away from Bitcoin. It drove Dell Computer away from Bitcoin. It drove everybody that was trying to use it as money away from Bitcoin. And everybody's, Bitcoin hit $20,000 and Bitcoin's currently $6,000. Imagine where it could be today if the blocks hadn't been allowed to be full. If Microsoft had never had to stop accepting Bitcoin, they'd been able to accept it the whole way through. And it's so frustrating right now. We're having this worldwide, economic meltdown, and the government's going crazy printing money. So that's what we see, and we see, Bitcoin's at $6,000. That's pretty high. What's not seen is where could Bitcoin have been today, right? If we had not lost the last 5 years of merchant adoption and the 5 years of infrastructure being built, and if everybody hadn't been distracted with so many altcoins, this could have been a chance for maybe the entire world, the population of the entire world, looked at this and said, hey, we have an alternative. We can use Bitcoin in commerce for everything, and we don't need to rely on the central banks and their $6 trillion of inflation here. We have another option. We have a plan B. We can use Bitcoin. But instead, because of the full blocks and the failure of the Lightning Network to be anything even remotely close to being usable in commerce, there isn't an option that's ready. Bitcoin Cash isn't ready yet today either. There's not enough infrastructure for it. Like, there isn't a solution today that's ready for the world to switch away from government-issued fiat currency. And I think there could have been a solution that was ready today for the worldwide economy to switch over to, if Bitcoin hadn't allowed the blocks to become full and stifled its ability to scale for the world. And to me, that just it breaks my heart that considering where we could have been versus where we are today. We can't change the past. Let's build a better future.
What do you think is needed for Bitcoin Cash to eventually possibly surpass Bitcoin?
I think it's awareness, right? Like, if I invite everybody, please give Bitcoin a try, right? Send and receive some BTC from one wallet to another, see how long it takes, see how long it costs, try it with everything, right? Go and buy something from a BitPay, accepting website, or a BTC accepting website, give it a try. And then try the exact same thing with Bitcoin Cash. And then once you've tried it with both, in fact, I saw a guy commented on another video that I did the other day. He said, oh my God, I didn't realize how fast Bitcoin Cash was. Like, I just tried it for the first time. I've been using BTC before. Now I tried Bitcoin Cash. This is great. I'm now a Bitcoin Cash fan. And so I think if people would try both, they would see it. And please try Lightning Network. Try everything, right? Try everything and see what works for you. Try iPhones, try Androids, try, something else. Try, Mac computers, try Windows computers, try Linux computers. Give it all a try, and then decide what you like and what works for you in your life. And there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever, if people try Bitcoin Cash versus what everybody's calling Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash provides a far, far, far better user experience. And so I would love more people to try both of those. And then I think having some more awareness that the thing that everybody's calling Bitcoin today, it has no white paper, right? It has the Bitcoin name and brand recognition, but there's no white paper. There's no, what is it, right? Is it digital gold? What does that even mean, right? Whereas in the early days, it was very clearly, it was meant to go head-to-head with the dollar and the euro and the yen. It was supposed to become money for the entire world that everybody would use to pay for everything on-chain, not with these custodial wallets, not with these overly complicated, Rube Goldberg machines that they're trying to build now. It was right there on-chain. And like I saw with my own business in Silicon Valley, right, selling optical transceivers and memory, I saw like some of the first things I was selling were like, 2,400 baud modems, and then 14.4K modems, and then by the end of my career there, we were selling 100 megabit optical transceivers, right? Like 100 gigabits, right? So like, that's like, I don't know, like 1.7 million times increase. I'd have to get out a calculator. It's such a big increase over the course of just, 15 years or something like that. And there's a great quote from Satoshi. I don't have it in front of me, but it says something along the lines, and you'll have to get the exact numbers right, but like in about a decade, the computers will be 100 times faster and 100 times cheaper or something like that. And we'll have to get what the exact math is with with Moore's law there. But like every single year, this stuff gets faster, better, and cheaper, and yet somehow Bitcoin's still stuck at 1 megabyte base block size. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And if I want to put my conspiracy hat on, and I know for a fact, because I was around in these days. So in 2011, in June, when Bitcoin, in the course of like 2 weeks, went from a couple of dollars to $30, and the main discussion platform was bitcointalk.org, where everybody was talking about it, suddenly there was an attack on that forum. The entire forum was flooded with all these fake accounts that nobody knew, and they were just posting buy, sell, crash, oh no, and they were just posting so much stuff that the forum became unusable. So during one of the very first, times where Bitcoin got mainstream media attention across the world, somebody out there, probably a government agency, successfully shut down the main discussion platform where people were able to talk about Bitcoin back then. So that was happening as early as 2011. And if you want to look at what happened later, they successfully shut down the main discussion platforms where everybody was talking about Bitcoin being able to scale to be money for the world, and they banned all the people that were advocating that Bitcoin should be money for the world. Who has the big giant motivation to do that? It's the people that produce all the money for the world right now and have these free printing machines where they can print as much money as they want at any time for any reason. They'd be really mad if the free market comes up with a competition to that where they can't print as many dollars as they want. And so, I don't think it's unreasonable, right? People call it a conspiracy theory, but look at how many conspiracies turned out to be true. And so, I don't think it's too big of a stretch to think that the powers that currently run the central banks and have control of the money supply intentionally disrupted the ability of Bitcoin to become usable as money for the world. I don't think that's a wild conspiracy theory at all. It is a conspiracy theory, but it doesn't mean it's not true. When Bitcoin was 2.5 years old, what that would have been? That would have been like 2011, right? The price of Bitcoin in 2011 was $10, right? Was probably the average price for the year or so. The fact that Bitcoin Cash is $200 and it only has had 2.5 years, because when that split happened, the BTC version of Bitcoin got the Bitcoin branding and name recognition and all the infrastructure because of the way the fork happened. All the infrastructure was forced and had to go with the BTC version of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin Cash had to start over from scratch to build all this infrastructure. And so the fact that it's at $200 and something in just 2.5 years, I think is an amazing sign, and shows where was and here's something to point out too. Where was the BTC version of Bitcoin 2.5 years ago? What was the price of that? I think it was probably higher than it was. Let me pull it up, and I can check for us right now.
Okay, no worries.
So the fact that the Bitcoin is doing so well. So 2 years ago, the Bitcoin price, so it's lower. It's down 10% over the last 2 years, right? And so I can't check 2.5 years. So when Bitcoin Cash first launched, there was a huge amount of volatility and spiked way up and way down. And there were a number of early Bitcoin adopters. They got a little bit too excited and bought in the Bitcoin Cash with too many of their Bitcoin at an early thing. But if you look at when the price had a chance to settle down with Bitcoin Cash after the initial split, and there was a lot of fury within the market, Bitcoin Cash has steadily been trending up in overall price. And I think that's going to continue. And again, I invite everybody, use Bitcoin Cash, use Bitcoin BTC. It won't even be close, right? Bitcoin Cash provides a far, far better user experience. So the question is, what will win out in the end? With the brand recognition of Bitcoin and the name recognition, or the bigger network effect for Bitcoin, or the better user experience of Bitcoin Cash and these passionate entrepreneurs within Bitcoin Cash that are the same early entrepreneurs that were involved in Bitcoin to begin with. So that's a question that we'll find out. And we shouldn't underestimate the power of the network effect of something. But look at, for those that are around, a lot of people remember MySpace, right? MySpace was before Facebook. MySpace had a huge network effect. It seemed like nobody would be able to supplant it. But then their servers became overloaded, and people started having a slow, unreliable user experience, just like a slow, unreliable, and expensive user experience on Bitcoin. And people suddenly switched, and then Facebook became a big thing. And for people that are really old, like myself, before MySpace, they'll remember another thing called Friendster. And Friendster had a giant network effect, and tons of people were on it. And suddenly their servers became overloaded, and you started having a bad user experience because the connection to Friendster was slow and expensive in terms of the amount of time you had to wait for the website to load, and unreliable, and everybody switched. And I think that very well could happen with Bitcoin as well. At some point, there'll be a critical mass of some other platform that has a better user experience that's significantly better enough from Bitcoin to motivate people to switch. And maybe it'll be Ethereum, maybe it'll be Ripple, maybe it'll be Bitcoin Cash, maybe it'll be something else that we haven't even heard of at this point. But if Bitcoin continues to provide a slow, expensive, unreliable user experience, of course people are going to switch.
Quick question. Do you hold any Bitcoin?
Yeah, I have a diverse portfolio. Like if you go and look at markets.bitcoin.com or CoinMarketCap or whatever, I hold some of just about all, probably the top 20 coins or something that are up there, and then a bunch more even below there. Anybody should have a diverse portfolio. So one of the coins I'm the most bullish on, to be honest, is Binance coin. Like if you look at what Binance is doing with their coin, they're trying to get people to use it in commerce, to buy and sell and pay for things. Like that's the right strategy. That's the strategy that Bitcoin should have had the entire way, instead of diverging from that thing. So like Binance coin is great in the fact that they're trying to get people to use it in commerce. And like Ethereum is amazing. Like look at all these amazing ICOs and technologies that are able to happen on there. And Bitcoin Cash with their token platform is amazing as well. Like I don't know if people know it, but you can make a token on Bitcoin Cash in like 10 seconds over at mint.bitcoin.com. But the really cool part about it is those tokens, you can then send and receive them with anybody out there. Then you can then pay dividends to those token holders. So the tokens now act like anonymous bear shares. They can receive dividend payments. And I'm not aware of another chain that has the ability to do that, where you can send anonymous dividend payments to token holders of any token on top of the Bitcoin Cash blockchain with the Bitcoin.com wallet or any other SLP Bitcoin Cash token supporting wallet. And I think that's a really big deal. We're going to start seeing more and more companies start using that dividends feature on top of Bitcoin Cash. I'm really excited about that. But I'm a competition maximalist. Like anything that works, great, use it. Like I love Ethereum, I love Monero, I love Zcoin, I love Zcash, I'm a big fan of all the privacy coins, and that's one of the things I'm so excited about and bullish on Bitcoin Cash. We're about to have privacy in the same ballpark of Monero built right into the Bitcoin.com wallet. Once we finish integrating a Cash Shuffle into that, really, really big deal. You can already have really strong privacy in your Bitcoin Cash on your desktop wallet right now. If you head on over to electroncash.org and download the desktop wallet, you can have really, really strong privacy on Bitcoin Cash. And that's not to say anything bad about the Moneros and the Zcashes of the world, but you can't pay with your Monero at BitPay. You can't pay with your Zcash at BitPay. You can't pay with those currencies at more than 100,000 websites. You can with Bitcoin Cash. And so once you can pay at more than 100,000 websites with super, super, super private Bitcoin Cash, that's a really, really big deal. And I think we're going to see a lot more adoption happening because of that.
Somebody's saying, Roger, you're a better advisor than Nomad Capitalist. I think he's a content creator who talks about leaving the States and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I love Nomad Capitalist. And in fact, we're having a conference. I'll be speaking at their conference coming up here in Cancun, Mexico. I believe it's in November. And you can head over to nomadcapitalist.com for information on that. And I love their YouTube channel. If you're interested in expatriation or offshore stuff or all this sort of stuff, their YouTube channel is fantastic. I love watching. So Andrew Henderson is the CEO over there. I saw him in the audience in Singapore, but I didn't get to talk to him. But I love his YouTube channel, his content, and I can't wait to go to that conference in person. So if you want to join us in Mexico in November, please do. Nomadcapitalist.com.
Roger, what do you think about being censored on the Bitcoin Reddit?
Yeah, I think it's really Bitcoin's supposed to be uncensorable money, and the fact that the community from within started censoring free speech, like strong arguments don't need censorship to win out, right? And so like that's what the government does. Like they hate WikiLeaks because WikiLeaks is exposing the truth. Like what sort of crazy world do you live in which you want to like ban people from being able to have opinions? And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened on our Bitcoin, which still is probably one of the most visited platforms in the entire world for discussion of Bitcoin. And so it was really amazing. The big blockers were the majority within the Bitcoin ecosystem when the censorship started. We were the majority in terms of hash rate and everything else out there. It was just a question of how to implement it. And then once the censorship started, and the only opinion that people were allowed to hear were, big blocks bad, small blocks good, Roger Ver bad, Bcash sucks, all this stuff. It's just like when you go to the government schools from a young age. Everybody around you pledges allegiance and says, government great. You believe it because that's what everybody around you is saying. Once everybody within that was coming to cryptocurrency were only allowed to hear that, Bcash sucks, Bitcoin Cash sucks, big blocks bad, Blockstream good, Bitcoin Core good, everything else sucks. Once that was the only thing they were allowed to hear, they believed it. Just like if you had grown up hearing that the world was flat, you would believe that too. And so I think it's horrible, and more people should speak out against the censorship that's still going on to this very day on both our Bitcoin and BitcoinTalk.org.
What do you think is going to happen after the halving?
So this will be my third halving, and I think the same thing's going to happen as the last two halvings. Nothing. I think it's just going to be a non-event.
All right.
Yeah, the price will be volatile like it always is, right? Like the price is volatile when there are halvings. The price is volatile when there's no halvings. Like I think it'll just be another day on the roller coaster of being involved in crypto.
What's the best way for a farmer's market and vendors to adopt Bitcoin Cash?
So we have this awesome app. It's open source. It's called the Bitcoin Cash Register app. You can download it in the Apple, App Store or the Google Play Store. It's called Bitcoin Cash Register, and in literally 30 seconds, you can be set up to accept Bitcoin Cash. And the way it works is you can link the Cash Register app to deposit to your Coinbase account, or to deposit your account at local.bitcoin.com, or deposit right to your Trezor wallet at home under your mattress. Basically, it's just a fancy QR code generator that displays a QR code to receive the payments, but the payments get forwarded to whatever wallet you specified in the settings. So it's a really, really fantastic tool. And I feel like Alexander maybe threw me a low ball question there, or a softball question there. So it's called the Bitcoin Cash Register app. And it's not an exaggeration to say that Bitcoin Cash is the easiest cryptocurrency to start accepting at your physical business right now today, easier than any other cryptocurrency in the world. So check out the Bitcoin Cash Register app to give that a try.
Then what's your take on proof of stake?
Let's give it a try, right? I think Ethereum's headed that way, and there's probably some other coins that have already done that. So may 1,000 flowers bloom, right? Give everything a try, and then use the things that work the best. And if proof of stake can work, great. But I'm a fan of proof of work because it has a 10+ year track record of working and working really, really well. Mm-hmm. So that makes me, at this point, somewhat biased or lean towards proof of work because of that track record. But proof of stake, feel free to give it a try.
What do you think of Cash Fusion? Will that bring adoption?
So Cash Fusion is what I was talking about before. So this is amazing tool for Bitcoin Cash. It'll give Bitcoin Cash privacy in the same ballpark as Monero. And so you can start using Cash Fusion. There's a Telegram group where you can get an alpha copy that I've been running on my own computer. It works great already. But we're going to build this Cash Fusion protocol right into the Bitcoin.com wallet. We've had more than 11 million wallets created with the Bitcoin.com wallet. So now suddenly we're going to have all these Bitcoin.com wallet users. They'll have fast, cheap, reliable, and super, super private transactions will be available to anybody anywhere in the world with like a $20 smartphone. This is going to be a really big deal for the adoption of Bitcoin Cash. And it's one of the things I'm most excited about integrating into Bitcoin Cash and the Bitcoin.com wallet. So if you Google Cash Fusion, you can find the Telegram site, or maybe I'll send you the link afterwards. You can post it in the show notes. But I'm really, really excited about Cash Fusion coming to Bitcoin Cash. And it's a really, really cool thing that's happening.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. So what are 3 books you've read that have changed your life?
Ray Kurzweil's The Singularity is Near really made me lose interest in conventional politics, because I think the way to supplant all that is through technology, and then just build technology that makes government impotent. That's a better way to do it. So anyhow, Ray Kurzweil's The Age of Spiritual Machines.
It's about AI?
What was that?
It's an AI book?
Yeah, it's about how it's basically about Moore's law and how you keep going, with Moore's law, and year after year as computers get better, faster, and cheaper, and then you can calculate about how many neurons are in the human brain, how many connections each neuron has, how many times per second they can fire, and you can calculate, roughly probably the order of magnitude about what the processing power of the human brain is, and then you can see what the processing power of the 286 versus the 386 versus the 486 versus the Pentium 1, the Pentium 2 versus on and on and on. And then you can see, here we're getting not too far away, and maybe by the year 2030 or so, you'll have a computer that's not too terribly expensive that can have the same processing power of the human brain. And even if we don't know how all the software in the human brain works, if you can simulate every single neuron within the human brain, and you can simulate consciousness effectively, right? And then if you can do that at that point, well, then step it up from there. And it's like right now, the smartest things in the entire planet are people, right? And so people are building the next generation of chips, the next generation of phones, and next generation of everything. There's nothing smarter on the planet than humans, but we're building better and better tools to help us humans build the next generation of tools. But once the smartest thing on the planet is something other than a human, and that non-human intelligence is then building the next generation of non-human intelligences, there's just this explosion of intelligence available to the universe to do all these cool things. So like if I had to choose a word for my religion, it'd be like an extropian. And an extropian is somebody who wants to increase the amount of intelligence in the universe. And I think the best way to get to being able to increase the amount of intelligence in the universe is through more economic growth, right? More economic growth leads to better, faster, and cheaper computers that are able to simulate the human brain, sooner rather than later. And then we can get to all this amazing stuff happening sooner rather than later. And so that's what I'm really excited. So one book, The Age of Spiritual Machines by Ray Kurzweil. The Ethics of Liberty by Murray Rothbard is another one that just lays out here's how the world works, and there's just so many good ones. I have a hard time choosing what another great one is. I think probably Man, Economy, and State by Murray Rothbard also is one that really helps you understand clearly how the world works.
What are 3 actions you took that have transformed your life?
I think realizing that it's better to save money than to spend money, or the only things that you should spend money on are things that are going to earn you more money in the future. And so that definitely made a big impact. So like all the money that I was earning from memory dealers, like I could have gone out and bought all sorts of frivolous stuff, and I didn't do much of that at all. I took all that money and spent it on things that would earn me more money. And so that put me in a position when Bitcoin finally came along. I had a nice amount of capital that I could deploy into Bitcoin to making that a real thing. And if I'd just been spending all that money on Lambos and this and that, I wouldn't have had the capital available for.
Now, what kind of things did you put the money in? Fixed income investments?
Mainly real estate. Mainly real estate. I bought a whole bunch of real estate in America with the money that I was earning from memory dealers, and then rented that. It was rental real estate, so both commercial and residential, and then rented that out. And then so I had it was nice too. So like with the rental income there as well, if the other business failed or there was a problem with that, I had diverse sources of income. So if one wasn't doing well, hopefully the other would be. And so diversity in investing is really, really important as well. So other actions, reading books, read more books. I like reading books. It's so amazing. It's like you can sit down and have a one-on-one tutoring session with some of the greatest minds that the human race has ever produced. And you can sit there and just download their thoughts and their ideas. And so reading books is just such an important thing to do. You can literally be tutored by the best human beings that the human race has ever produced. What more could you ask for than that? So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, it's been a pleasure, Roger. Where can people learn more about you and kind of find more info on you?
Yeah. I think you can find more info on the things that I'm interested in working on over at Bitcoin.com. So I'm the founder of Bitcoin.com, and I'm busy trying to build tools to enable more people to have more economic freedom and more control of their own lives all over the world over at Bitcoin.com. Occasionally I tweet. Roger Kavier is my Twitter account. I really need to update it. I have a very outdated website at rogerveer.com, but maybe during the coronavirus lockdown, I'll find some time to update that as well. So.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. Great having you on. Definitely quite the story. And we'll be in touch. And thank you to everyone for watching. Definitely please like, subscribe, and share this video. I think it was definitely very fascinating as well. So once again, thank you, everybody. And as we like to say, the moon is not the limit, to the moon and beyond. Thank you.